So this is the third iteration in my fixed magazine experiments. Uh, this one's a lot different from the ones before it, and it actually turns out also to be a lot different from the ones that came after it. I got kind of ambitious here. So the main functional difference is that there are two independent tracks for darts to go into, and that's intended for a special purpose blaster that would actually have two independent breeches. The other big obvious feature that this has, different from the other ones, is that it's curved into a drum shape, and so theoretically you can get a lot more darts in a smaller area, or at least in a single print volume. Anyways, as it turns out, there's kind of a limit on how many darts you can load just by pushing on them from the back, and I'll talk more about that in footage I have of me actually loading and unloading this. You'll see in the footage that this thing doesn't perform perfectly. It basically works, but it wouldn't make for a very reliable blaster. Seeing as this would require a really complicated and unusual blaster to take advantage of the two tracks, I probably won't get around to making a special purpose blaster of this sort, at least until I rebuild a different version of this. Anyways, here's the footage. This is currently the culmination of all of my fixed magazine experiments. There are a tremendous number of things wrong with it. However, it does have a lot of very cool features, and I think there's a lot of cool ideas that I will carry into my next thing. This magazine here has two independent tracks which carry, actually not really sure how many darts each track carries. The outer track's going to carry more than the inner track. From measurements I made in the CAD software, I was guessing about 24 for the smaller one, but then I adjusted things and made it smaller so that I could print it more easily. So I don't really know. I'm sure you could fit at least 16 in each track. I'm going to try loading as many darts as I can into this, and I guess we'll see how many fit. But I don't actually think that's going to be a reliable way to operate a blaster once it's attached to this. There does seem to be a limit, although it's not a hard limit, as far as how many darts you can put in a magazine when the magazine is advancing the darts just by pushing from behind all of them. The Nerf Raider drum has sort of a toothed wheel going around it, which grabs all of the darts in the drum, although not the last 5 or 6 darts going up the magazine. And in doing so, it gets around the problem of having too many foam darts just squishing against each other. Like I said before, it's not a hard limit, so I can't say exactly what a maximum is, but I say it starts to get too spongy for my preferences when you get past a dozen darts. Let's start loading this and see what happens. So to load the outer track, we're just going to insert darts through here, and this little thing here, this magnet is just glued onto the outside. There's another magnet inside there. A lot of problems with how that's hooked up, but for now we'll just use it and not worry about all the reasons it shouldn't work. And just to show you that this is, an advancing thing that can feed darts. Now I have to put those back. Let's see where we're at. This is fortunately transparent enough that I can see how much is loaded. You see I've gotten to about here. So probably about halfway, because I'm not going to be able to go all the way around because of this mechanism here, plus the follower has some length to it as well. I haven't actually done this before, Part of the reason I'm filming it is because there are a bunch of things I didn't do a very good job of with this blaster, or I guess with this magazine anyhow. And so I want evidence that it at least sort of worked before I broke it. Really not liking when I'm loading more darts. It feels spongy, it's making kind of a creaking noise. I'm going to keep going a little longer. As you can see, we're filled all the way around to this point, and the follower takes up space about to here. So in a perfect world, we still have that much more capacity left. Alright, at this point, there's still that much left before the follower bottoms out, but I can feel I'm just squishing the foam way too much. If I had a full breech pin operating at this point, I think it would get hung up and cause a jam. So I would say maybe 10 less darts than this would be okay for normal operation. So basically half the theoretical capacity of this is usable. I'm going to push a few darts out just so that I'm not ruining shit too much. You can already see after just taking out, what's this, 6 darts, the darts are not compressed as much. I can see the darts approaching the feed point. They look more round in the magazine. They're not obviously squashed into ovals. You know, it's a little more capacity than I would expect. It's almost 3/4 of the circle in use. I don't know if I'd want to leave it loaded this way for very long, though. So, anyways, I'm going to push a few more out. I'm going to start loading the inside and see how that does. The inside is significantly harder to load, but still not too bad. This bit's cracked here, which won't be a big deal if and when I put this into a full blaster, because I was planning on using this whole area here as the bolt pattern and squashing it between 2 plates. Anyways, I'm just going to pretend that's not happening and keep going. Alright, well, I don't know if I just loaded darts a little bit crooked or what, but I would say I'm only about a third the way, or more than a third, I guess, actually close to halfway around the drum. But this inside track, I feel that's full. If you look, you know, you can see the darts are pretty squished there. So a round breech pin probably be okay with a beveled edge, but it could still catch the next dart and snag on it and cause a jam. Anyways, just so you believe me that the inside track also functions as a magazine, I'm going to push some darts out. Oh, and see, for a moment there it stopped functioning as a magazine. That doesn't help. Let's see what's going on here. So, oh, this just didn't go out all the way. I get out. Oh, yeah, there's another one. Stop. Yeah, it's advancing, but I gotta give it a shake. Alright, now we're okay. And now the outer track. So that's however many that was. That's how many darts I can fit in this thing. As you saw, this didn't work perfectly. As I was unloading the darts, I frequently had to shake the magazine to make them advance. I think some of that was because I was using a bamboo skewer to push them out rather than a properly sized, breech pin. Anyways, I've since moved on from this design. So one thing that's definitely moving into the future versions is this dart door mechanism here. In particular, the fact that it's magnetically retained is really nice in terms of setting it up and just finding a place to put the magnets versus finding a place to put the catch spring. It's a lot easier to find a place for the magnets. Also, this doesn't eat fingers at all, and that was a major goal of mine. The two-track concept, I think, is a good concept, and I do think I'll come back to it, but for now I'm trying to get something a little more simple, reliable, and reproducible for other nerfers. Anyways, so that's all for this rather unusual entry in the fixed magazine systems. Catch you later.